Vision viewers, my name is HoE Emmett Kappa. Join me every Sunday from 8 to 9 p.m. on LNTV for the program The Hour of Enlightenment, a program of education, impartation, and transformation. On The Hour of Enlightenment, we look into the issues of the role of the church as it relates to national transformation and the fulfillment of our generational agenda. We look into the issue of peace and reconciliation. We look into the issue of leadership. National peace and reconciliation is hinged to accurate national spiritual partnership. Spiritual protocol is a catalyst for national transformation. During elections, people become desperate for power that they go to the extreme to bring their wishes to come to pass. Where there is vision, there will be development. Where there is no vision, there will be underdevelopment and chaos. The discovery of your destiny is a key to success. God bless you. Welcome to another edition of the Hour of Enlightenment. I'm your host, HoE Emmett Kappa. As you are aware, we are running a special edition of the Hour of Enlightenment. We are meeting the presidential candidates as we go to elections. You know, the church has some important role in a nation, and key among those things is that the church is to pray. And why do we pray? You know, the Bible says in Isaiah 62 verse 6 to 7, he said, I set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, who shouldn't hold their peace day or night until I make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. You want to move Jerusalem from there, you want to put Liberia there. Why we pray? Because God has given the church a responsibility to be watchmen in the spirit, to pray over the nation. You know, and the second thing is to provide education. You know, the Bible says in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. And so the second responsibility a church in any nation has is to provide education on different issues, whether it be on healing, deliverance, miracles, but also on leadership. And so this program is meant to fulfill that responsibility. And the third thing the church has responsibility to do in any season is to engage. And that's the engagement with national leaders, engagement with people of all sorts. That's why for 10 years we've been talking about leadership. We've been providing a platform for us to redefine our nation. And so today we are here. We are continuing this journey. Last week we had one candidate. Today we have another candidate. And we'll do it until we get to elections day. And it is your responsibility as voters to listen to these candidates, to scrutinize the things that they bring to the table, and we pray and believe God that God will guide all of us as we go towards the process. So this evening, before I introduce our studio guest, I want us to look to the Lord in prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you this evening, Lord, as we journey as a nation to October 10th for our elections. We pray, God, that you will guide our process, that wisdom will be upon our nation, and Lord, that all of us as Liberians, our hearts will be united even as we move through this national process. We thank you for this program tonight, and we thank you for your grace upon us in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Now, you know, there are some biblical references that give us some sense of understanding as it relates to leadership and nation. Let me give you one or two scriptures before I introduce our guest. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 29:18, a nation with all guidance is a nation with all order. Happy are those who keep God's law. Let's look at the contemporary English version, Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 17. A nation will prosper when its ruler is mature and its leaders don't party too much. Let's look at the Living Bible translation. When there is moral wrath within a nation, its government topples easily. But with honesty, sensible leaders, there is stability. New Living Translation, Proverbs 11:14. Without wise leadership, a nation falls. With many counselors, there is safety. Let's look at Proverbs 29:4. A leader of good judgment gives stability. And those are scriptures that tells us that God is concerned about leadership. Proverbs 14:34. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when a wicked man rules, the people groom. Now, those are just one or two scriptures to give us an idea of what we are dealing with as we move towards this process. This evening, we are privileged to have the standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress, Mr. Alexander B. Cummings Jr. Mr. Cummings, you are welcome tonight.
Thank you, Reverend Carpet. Good to be with you and your audience.
Amen. Amen. God bless you. And those who are following us by radio on ERBC 99.9 all across our country, we welcome you to this very interesting conversation as we fulfill our duty to our nation. And those following us on Facebook, and those following us on television, you can follow. And when we have had a discussion, we open the phone lines, we'll give you the numbers, and we will interact for an hour and 30 minutes. All right, Mr. Cummings, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Let me first of all apologize to your audience for being casually dressed. I've been on the campaign trail all day at events and came right here, but I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Okay, good.
And happy to be here with you.
Thank you. There are a few questions we are asking all the candidates as they come here, standard questions, and then we looked at your vision. I talked about Habakkuk 2:2. The Bible says write the vision. That's why I'm asking everybody for the vision, make it plain so that we can run with it, and so, but before we go to your vision and other things, the first question, why should Alexander B. Cummings Jr. be elected president for Liberia? Why you?
Several reasons why,
Yeah.
Reverend Carpet. One is I have a deep and abiding belief in our people and in our country.
Okay.
And I also believe we need a leader who will put the Liberian people first.
Okay.
Who will put them above his and her own personal needs.
Okay.
I also bring to our country impeccable leadership skills.
Okay.
I've run large, big, complex organizations. I know how to create jobs, which is a big problem. I know how to create economic prosperity for our people.
Okay.
I have a record of integrity.
Okay.
I've managed budgets well in excess of that of our country, and I've done it with not one penny going missing.
Okay.
And so for all of these reasons, I offer myself to our people to serve them, because
Okay.
I view leadership as a role of service.
Okay.
And so I ask my fellow Liberians to think about where our country is today after 170 years.
Okay.
And, there's two truths that I like to repeat when asked this question.
Yes.
The one truth is, there are many truths, but one is, if you keep doing the same things, you will not get a different result.
Okay.
And the other truth is, the best predictor of future performance and future behavior is past performance and past behavior.
Okay.
And so on those two bases, I say, look at my background, my experience,
Okay.
and compare it to the other candidates, and I think it will speak well for what I can do for our country in the future. And the other thing I say is that we need a leader now with some different experiences,
Okay.
with different background, because if we keep picking leaders with similar experiences, we'll likely get the same results.
Okay.
And so for all of those reasons, I offer myself to the country to lead us.
Okay. The next question, you started going to, but who are you in terms of highlighting your family background,
Sure.
your qualification, in your spiritual context? Those are three things I want you to highlight in this question.
Absolutely, Reverend Carpet. So, the Cummings family is from Maryland County. Actually, there were Cummings in Harper, in Plebo, and in Waken. So we crossed the county.
Okay.
And so I claimed that as my home.
Okay.
But there was also a group of Cummings that moved to Nimba, to Tapita.
Okay.
And so there's a S.D. Cummings High School there. There's a Cummings Avenue. So in terms of my roots, I claim those two places.
Okay.
I grew up in Monrovia, in both Point 4
Okay.
and in Fiamma.
Okay.
I went to demonstration school on Clay Street.
Okay.
I went to CABA and graduated. I went to Cuttington.
Okay.
I worked at the Liberian Bank for Development and Investment.
Okay.
Then I went to graduate school and started my international business career.
Okay.
I worked for the Pillsbury Company, a big U.S. multinational food company.
Okay.
And then for the last, for 20 years, almost 20 years, I worked for the Coca-Cola Company.
Okay.
In a variety of roles in different parts of the world, always coming in and out of Liberia, spending time here. We have a foundation here. I'm married to Teresa. We've been married for 35 years. Very proud. That one of my blessings.
Okay.
I have two children. I have a daughter Ayo and a son Boykai.
Okay.
And I have two granddaughters, Naya and Wankemi.
Okay.
And so that's a little bit about me and the family.
Okay.
And as I said, I've been very blessed and fortunate to have worked for two very large companies and done it very successfully.
Okay.
My last role, I was globally responsible for most of the Coca-Cola company around the world, most of our functions.
All right.
And as you know, Coke is in over 200 countries. We have revenues of over $40 billion.
Okay.
The market value of Coca-Cola is about $190 billion.
Okay.
And this is a Liberian boy who grew up in Point Four and Fiamma,
Okay.
who went to demonstration school, who went to CB, went to Cuttington, was able to have that level of success. And I believe if we create opportunities for other Liberians, they will be just as successful, even more successful than I. And that's why, again, I have this passion to want to help our people in our country.
Okay, spiritual context,
Spiritual
church,
context, yes.
and
So
who's your pastor who provides spiritual covering for you?
Yeah, I always tell this story about, again, my spiritual history, and,
Okay.
and I go back to my father,
Okay.
and I always say I'm closing the loop
Okay.
with my father. But my father was born in Episcopalian,
Okay.
and by the way, he was a pastor. He became
Okay.
a pastor, so I grew up
So
in
you're
a Christian
PK?
home. I am.
Okay.
I'm fully an acclimate.
Okay.
And very
Okay.
proud. Very
and
proud.
PK me a preacher's kid.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. But anyway, he was born. He was born a Methodist, actually.
Okay.
In Maryland County. He moved to Monrovia to live with his older sister.
Okay.
And she was married to an Episcopalian, so he became an Episcopalian and then became a pastor.
Okay.
And I always say my father was born a Methodist and died Episcopalian.
Okay.
So I grew up in the Episcopal Church
Okay.
with my dad. Through my travels around the world, I became a Methodist.
Okay.
And so I was born Episcopalian, I would die Methodist, and my dad and I closed that circle. And so I'm a Methodist today. I visited many churches, and I do visit many churches
Okay, true.
today. I'm always active in giving back
Okay.
to the church.
Okay.
Pastor Kappa, I have many reverends who pray for me, who I pray with.
Okay.
And so I'm very proud of my spiritual
But
commitment.
currently, which church you are a member of? I mean, that's why you do your spiritual.
Well, I attend First Methodist.
Oh, First Methodist, okay.
And I will confess I'm not an active member, but I do attend First Methodist Church
Okay.
today.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's go to the next question, which basically is a very critical component of this discussion. What it is you want to do, and I see your vision, your vision for Liberia, and I will prefer that you perhaps do a summary,
Sure.
and then we can be able to highlight some of the things you got here.
Got it.
Go ahead.
So we divide our vision and our goals for the country into the what we want to do for Liberia,
Okay.
but even more importantly, how.
How? Yeah. The what and how? Yeah.
The what
okay.
and how. So
Yeah.
we divide it clearly into that.
Okay.
In terms of the what
Yeah.
we want to do, very quickly, our priorities are infrastructure, meaning electricity,
Yeah.
water, roads, and connectivity, both internet and cellular.
Okay.
Job creation and economic growth
Okay.
is a very high priority of ours.
Okay.
Agriculture,
Okay.
we are a country that don't feed ourselves. We import close to $300 million in food stuff
All right.
today. About 160 million just in rice. So agriculture is a priority, and we can get into the details as you suggest.
Yeah.
Education is a priority of ours, and health.
Okay.
So those are the whats. In terms of the hows, in terms
Yeah.
of our vision, first how we say hearts and minds.
Okay.
How do we engage Liberians in participating in the transformation?
Yeah.
In owning these changes. And so this is where, again, the church and religion plays an important part. So, Reverend Carpet, we're actually doing a body of work that says how can religion, how can arts, culture,
Okay.
music, sports, how can we use the element of those things to help engage Liberians more in the transformation of our country?
Okay.
And so that's the first how in hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Second one is we got to find the money.
Yeah, and that's a big thing.
All of these things cost money, and we can
Yeah.
get into the details of how we'll
Yeah.
do that, but
Okay.
finding the money is the second.
Okay.
The third, we talk about a government of inclusion.
Yeah.
We want opposition parties in government. We want all sectors of our country geographically represented in government.
Okay.
Because given the amount of change, we require the more people in the tent,
Yeah.
the easier it is to make the changes required.
Okay.
And we talk about growing the private sector.
Okay.
Very important part of how we'll do it. And then leveraging technology
Okay.
will be a key part of the house. So at a summary level, as you asked for, those are the hows and the whats we will do for
All
us.
right. So this is the Hour of Enlightenment. I'm your host, Fodo Emmett Carpet. Tonight we are hosting Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, and he is the standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress. And we are on the journey of meeting the presidential candidates. Last week was one of the candidates. Today is another one. Tomorrow and next Sunday. So every Sunday we are meeting everybody, and we are looking specifically at the vision, the why, the who, the what, how, and when. Those are the questions they're answering. So let us do some 2 minutes across this thing so that we can give the people, who believe the voter, an opportunity to engage you, because those are the people that are the goal in the season, the voters. So let's look at the 2 minutes. Finding and creating new sources of revenue. How?
So there are 2 ways we'll do that. One, we actually can control directly how we do that, and that's taking waste out of government, and I'll give examples of that. And going after this thing called corruption.
Okay.
Those 2 things will help us find revenue. And resources. So waste. I believe we spend too much money on things like vehicles.
Okay.
There's no reason why a minister or a legislator should be driving an $80,000 Land Cruiser.
Okay.
I drive, one of the cars I have is a $44,000 Land Cruiser. That is just as good and effective.
Okay.
And you could take that difference and invest in education and health, etc., etc. I believe we're also at the top end of the scale, meaning the senior guys in the executive branch and our legislator, we pay them too much money compared to everybody else. I think we need to reduce the amount of money, pay them a good wage, but we need to redeploy those funds to pay teachers, to pay police officers, military, civil service, healthcare workers. That's another way you find revenue. By the way, Reverend Kape, just that act alone, taking the money out of the hands of a few and giving to the hands of the many will create economic stimulus. It will by definition.
Yeah, but Mr. Cummings, one concern a lot of people have is that you don't make appropriation at the executive. It is a legislature that do it. So how can you say, the executive will make that kind of decision? Two
ways we want Liberians to help us do that. One is we ask Liberians to support the ANC legislative candidates, because we've all agreed as a party that's what we'll do, and Liberians can help us accomplish that by electing ANC candidates. That's one. The second thing we'll do is we'll sit with the legislature. Look, I believe we can collaborate with them. You cannot have a situation where we're among the poorest countries in the world. It's a fact, not something I'm proud of, but we are, and we pay our legislature among the highest in the world compared to the richest countries. That cannot be right. And Liberians can put pressure on the legislature, but we'll sit with them, and I believe we can get most of them to agree we need to redistribute the wealth. So if I may, though,
go ahead.
Finish up. That's what I call on the waste side. Travel. American ambassadors around the world, when they travel in coach. Our ministers travel in business class and first class. All of those things we need to change in the poor country. Then corruption.
Yes.
Another source of how
eliminating corruption. A government of clean hands. What do you mean? That is seeing all Liberian people. You know what I mean when they see all Liberian people? That is seeing all Liberian people.
Yes.
So this eliminating corruption, government of clean hands. Explain it. So how will you deal with corruption?
So we gotta do it on multifaceted ways. There's no silver bullet. There's no one way to address it. So the first thing we will do is we will make sure that the institutions that are established to fight corruption are appropriately resourced. The Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission, the General Accounting Office, the Public Procurement and Concessions Commission. We need to make sure those people have the right resources to go after corrupt officials, and we'll appoint a minister in the presidency to look after and coordinate that. So that's the first.
You will create another ministry?
No. We'll create a minister with a portfolio, but their position, I don't want to create more bureaucracy. Their position will be to coordinate activities among those commissions so that we can get leverage by resources. So that's one. Second thing we'll do is we will punish corrupt officials. We will prosecute them, we'll put them in jail, and we'll seize the assets. So we resource these organizations. They find corrupt people, we will punish, and the Liberian people can help Reverend Kape. What happens today when I catch you or you catch me stealing, then your relatives coming back. Oh, you knew Reverend Kape's mother, he helped you get elected. Liberian people don't come back. When we catch L.A. Cummings, we catch Fode Kape, we prosecute, put in jail. Please let us follow through. So we'll prosecute, jail people, seize the assets. The third thing we'll do is we will publish publicly. We try to identify the top 200 jobs in government that has the biggest opportunity for people to steal, to be corrupt. And everybody should know. So when we appoint you or me to those jobs, people should know the chance is there. And we want people to watch.
And see what you will do.
And tell us what. And then lastly, I want to finish, if I may. We got to simplify lots of rules and regulation, because when you make it complex, you give people who understand the chance to extract rent, because they understand, I understand, you don't. You need something from me, and I take a bribe. And then we'll prosecute people who gave bribes. So we'll prosecute both sides. So those are the things we'll do
to fight corruption.
To fight corruption.
Now, as you talked about that, what happens in situations we have Liberians coming from the diaspora who work in Liberia, do some alleged things and flee the country? How you intend to handle those kind of issues? Just in the event it occurs, what will you do?
In the event it occurs,
somebody go back to America, go back to Europe, or go back to some foreign country.
We'll try to get them extradited.
Okay.
We will work with, if it's America or the UK or wherever, we'll work with those countries, with the embassies here, to get their citizens extradited. The extradition rules and processes is long and cumbersome.
Okay.
But we'll try to get them back here to do that. And by the way, I don't plan to appoint a lot of diaspora people.
Okay.
I might do a few. I'm not going to lie and say I would do none. But there's talent in Liberia that I want to focus on. People who are here, who understand the challenges, and I will primarily appoint people who live here, who are committed to our country here, to minimize the risk of that happening. But if it happens, we'll try to
but meanwhile, you have lived most of your life outside. So all the connections and everything outside, how do you tie that in with the fact that I would deal with only people on the ground?
I've lived in Liberia as well. I've lived both places in the Caribbean. Although I've had an international business career, I've spent a lot of time going in and out of the country 2, 3, 4 times a year. I've been in Liberia for the last 10, 15 years. So I have relationships, I have connections, and yes, we may appoint some diaspora Liberians, but we will primarily employ local Liberians.
Okay, creating jobs and revitalizing the economy. How?
So there are several ways we'll do that again. In no particular order. One is we want to focus on empowering Liberian businesses.
Okay.
Today, Liberians are spectators to the country, to the economy. Mm-hmm. Let me give you a simple example.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier we import almost everything we consume.
Mm-hmm.
It will take some time before we change that dynamic, before we can produce ourselves.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, Liberians should be the ones importing, because importing is not complicated. It's just basic arithmetic. It's not even algebra. I import for $10, I sell for $12. I import for $3, I sell for $4. Liberians can do that.
Okay.
We need to empower Liberians, give them the resources, give them the international connections to suppliers, and when we empower them, they will create jobs for Liberians. We need to look at our rules and regulations. I mentioned simplicity earlier. Mm-hmm. If we can simplify rules and regulations, it will free up the private sector to help create jobs. Agriculture, I mentioned that as a priority.
Yeah.
If we invest in agriculture, it will be a big source of employment for our people. We feed ourselves and we create jobs for our people. So we'll invest in agriculture. So these are all the things we do to create jobs. We'll have to create some public sector jobs temporarily to take some pressure off, because unemployment is so high. Mm-hmm. But I emphasize temporarily because government should not be the ultimate job creators. The private sector should be the job creators. And this is why I emphasize growing the Liberian private sector so that they can create jobs and taking all the pressure off them, the rules and regulation, reviewing our taxation policies, all with the effort towards creating jobs for our people.
Okay, you talked about development of the agricultural sector. I mean, can you expand a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. So there are several things that people need to produce food, farmers need. In no particular order, farmers need to have equipment, to have seeds, to have fertilizer, to have financing. So recreating the agricultural development bank, which we had before, we need to reestablish that.
Okay.
And farmers also need to have a market where they know when they produce, they can sell their product to.
Okay.
And so reconstituting the Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation is something we'll do. And then farmers got to have roads. You got to get your goods from point A to point B. And this is where infrastructure again. So all of these things tie together.
Okay.
And this is what we'll do to revitalize agriculture. We will focus on it. We'll train farmers. We'll create co-ops so farmers can work together so we can create scale. Okay. We want to try to create mechanized farming. And so those are all things we're going to do to try to reinvigorate the agriculture industry. You know, when I was growing up, and I'll show my age here, the country used to organize competition among the different counties. Okay. And I remember Lofa, Bong, and Nima used to always be in the top 3 in terms of rice production and producing other products. We need to bring some of those things back, so that we can start to feed ourselves and invest in agriculture.
And modernizing healthcare.
So again, you know, we want to be precise and surgical about what we do.
Okay.
And that means we got to prioritize and make choices. And within healthcare, we say we want to focus on primary healthcare
Yeah.
and preventive healthcare because that's what touches most Liberians is, things like malaria, things like typhoid, things like diarrhea. Those basic things we want to make sure we address infant mortality,
Okay.
and help our pregnant mothers have their kids. And so primary healthcare addresses all of those things and would touch the majority of Liberian people. Yes, we need to train more doctors. Yes, we need to equip our referral hospitals like GFK, etc., etc. And we will do those things, but we want to get primary healthcare and then preventive healthcare. That's where we need to focus our resources. Those things that touch most Liberians is where we want to put the effort while we do some of the other big long-term things concurrently.
Okay, building a 21st century Liberia. What is that?
So, if you think about our country, and
Yeah.
I think you've had the opportunity to travel.
Yeah.
Most of the rest of the world, not everywhere, is in the 21st century from a
Okay.
technology perspective, from an infrastructure perspective, from schools, healthcare facilities, etc. So when we think about all of the what's and the hows we want to do, when we accomplish those things, and I don't say if, when we do, it will result in a 21st century Liberia where our healthcare will be first class, our educational system will be first class, our infrastructure, roads. Look, Reverend Capet, Liberia is 170 years old.
Yeah.
It is not too much for us to expect to have electricity in every home.
Okay.
That's not a lot to ask. That's not like some far off dream. Or for us to have running water in every home. After 170 years, my fellow Liberians, that is not too much to demand of ourselves and of our leaders. So just doing some of those basic things, we travel around the country campaigning
Yeah.
and staying connected. You drive for hours and then you secluded from the world. One of the first things we'll do is we'll meet with the cell phone companies and try to understand why the entire country is not connected. Because
Okay.
that again will bring us into the 21st century. Same with internet connectivity. So those are things we'll focus on that will make us a 21st century country.
And as you talked about technology, how does what is the ANC? I mean, your vision. I mean, a little bit more in depth on the whole technology issue. How you intend to expand technology in Liberia?
By bringing in private sector investors.
Okay.
I mentioned starting with people that are here. So
Okay.
starting with the existing cell phone companies, having a conversation about what it will take for them to make sure the entire country is connected.
Okay.
It might mean we have to reduce the taxes that we charge them
Yeah.
so they can use that money to connect the whole country.
Okay.
The second thing we'll do is talk to the internet companies, Google, etc. And I believe Google is doing some work to connect all of Greater Monrovia or Montserrado.
Okay.
We need to get them to expand that beyond that. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have an office in the presidency, not a new ministry, not a big bureaucracy, but a person or two that's going to focus on technology, on making sure within government, for example, Reverend Carpet, that all of the ministries we have one or two major big servers. All the information is standardized. Today, every ministry, I believe, procure their own technology, etc. We need to centralize that.
Okay.
And make sure we can leverage, we can get scale, we can get common standards. So technology would be a big enabler.
But so what
Move us
happened to Lip Telco, for example? Then what do you think to do with the Lip Telco in the future?
We need to revisit whether now we should privatize the telco.
Okay.
I know a lot of Liberians are, and for good historical reason, are hesitant when we talk about privatizing
Okay.
the LEC or the telco, etc.
Yeah.
But I often say, with all any disrespect, that we shouldn't be proprietary about something we don't really have. Because we don't have connectivity everywhere. We don't have electricity everywhere. So why not get people to help us build it, charge a fee, but at least we'll have the use of those services. And it will spur economic growth.
Okay.
It was-
But you're talking about ownership, but at the same time you're talking about prioritization. So where do we strike the balance in terms of Liberian owning? Like what you said, you want Liberians to get involved in developing the country, which is great. But then where do we strike the balance between prioritization and ownership?
But Liberians can participate in that ownership
Okay.
process. So let's talk about South Africa, where when the ANC called down that when they took power, when Black South Africans took power,
Yeah.
they created a thing called Black Economic Empowerment,
Okay.
where they required that Black South Africans participated in both the equity, the ownership,
Yeah.
as well as in the management of big corporations
Okay.
in. And so you can do both. They're not mutually exclusive. So we can create LEE, Liberia Economic Empowerment.
Okay.
So when we bring investors, they can own 51% and management for one.
And so you're ready to you're ready to enact a legislation that will give Liberians certain percentage in investment in this country?
Absolutely. And
you ready to do that?
we
Can you commit yourself to that?
I will commit myself to doing that. By the way, legislation exists today to prioritize electricity, which I think is a good thing. That legislation exists.
Yeah.
So yes, look.
No, but I'm talking about like in Ghana now, where you say, there are certain laws on if you want to do business in Ghana, you must have a Ghanaian. That I mean, it might not be the same as Ghana, but I'm just trying to give an example.
The answer is yes. Okay. I'm saying emphatically to your audience, to you,
and to the country.
The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. I mean, look, just like we got categories of industries today that are meant to be for Liberians only. It's just an expansion of the idea, and we should do that. We cannot be.
And the 26 Liberian businesses, you rather make sure those businesses are exclusively.
And it's not just enforcing the law. You gotta have to enable it.
Okay.
A lot of the reasons why Liberians can participate, they don't have the credit. They don't have the money. So we got to make sure they got the credit. We have to introduce them. This is where my experience becomes relevant. Introduce them to international suppliers.
Okay.
So they can be the ones to procure these things. So we'll not just say we'll enforce it, but we'll actually help Liberians, empower them to do it.
All right.
And we have to understand why they're not taking advantage of it and solve that issue.
Okay.
As opposed to just paying lip service to it.
All right. Before we take our break, let's look at issue of disability.
Mm-hmm.
People living with disability in our country. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything here that specifically addressed the people living with disability.
Yeah.
What are your issues on that?
Yeah, we will focus on that. And I don't like to use the word disabled. I use the word challenged.
Okay, challenged. Okay.
And I think words matter. And how you describe things affect how you think about it, how you address it. So for me, it's a more
challenge
Liberians.
Okay.
And because of our recent history, we have a fairly large percentage of our population who are challenged.
Okay.
And we need to make sure we address them in our party. I mentioned past behavior is a good indication of future behavior, future performance. In our party, on our executive committee today, we have the challenge represented. Actually, the guy's name is Medela Jubilee, who I know personally very well, and he's actively campaigning. But we will make sure challenged Liberians are looked after, have a place at the table, and their voices will be heard, so we can address their challenge.
Even going after legislation that would be able to give them certain levels of fighting.
I will consider that. I don't like to say what I haven't thought about.
Okay.
I haven't thought about the legislative aspect of that, but we'll definitely consider looking at legislation.
Youth empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about youth empowerment. The young people make up,
Same thing. So young people make up something like 60% of our population. So it's huge. So the way I think about youth empowerment, I don't just think about a label.
Okay.
So what does that mean? It means giving them skills. Okay. So when we talk about education, I mentioned it briefly in summary.
Yeah.
There are 3 areas in education we're going to focus on: vocational training, teachers training, and adult education.
Okay.
Vocational training is skills training for our young people. That's one way to empower them. I mentioned job creation, how we create jobs.
Okay.
That's another way to empower our young people. More broadly, in terms of understanding the challenges, we got a lot of motorcyclists, keke drivers. Some of them are doing it because they want to and they provide a valuable service. Some are doing it because they lack choices. So giving them choices in terms of skills, training, creating. But job creation would be the biggest way we can empower our young people, is to give them jobs very quickly.
All right, this is the Hour of Enlightenment. I'm your host, Fodo Emmett Carper. We are in conversation with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, and he's the standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress. And he's here sharing his vision. The Bible says, Habakkuk 2:2, write a vision, make it plain on tablets, that they will run who read it. And so we listen to the vision. Every Sunday we are here talking to the candidates and hearing the vision. And so we will take our break, and when we come back, we'll open the phone lines, and you will give your calls, and Mr. Cummings will answer those calls, and we'll interact with the public. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. My name is Fodo Emmett Carper. I'm the host of the Hour of Enlightenment, a program of education, impartation, and transformation. As the Bureau goes to elections on October 10, 2017, the church has a responsibility to create a platform to hear the vision of our presidential candidates. The Bible says in Habakkuk 2:2, write a vision, make it plain on tablets, that they will run who reads it. For the vision is for an appointed time. Wait for it, though it tarry, it will surely come to pass. In fulfillment of this national duty, the Hour of Enlightenment will be hosting presidential candidates beginning this Sunday, August 20, 2017 at 8 p.m. live on LNTV and ELBC Radio. Don't miss it. God bless you. Hello, television viewers. My name is HoE Emmett Carpet. Join me every Sunday from 8 to 9 p.m. on LNTV for the program, The Hour of Enlightenment, a program of education, impartation, and transformation. On The Hour of Enlightenment, we look into the issues of the role of the church as it relates to national transformation and the fulfillment of our generational agenda. We look into the issue of peace and reconciliation. We look into the issue of leadership. National peace and reconciliation is hinged to accurate national spiritual partnership. Spiritual protocol is a catalyst for national transformation. During elections, people become desperate for power that they go to the extreme to bring their wishes to come to pass. Where there is vision, there will be development. Where there is no vision, there will be underdevelopment and chaos. The discovery of your destiny is a key to success. God bless you. Welcome back to the Hour of Enlightenment. I'm your host, HoE Emmett Carpet. This evening, we are in conversation with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. He's the standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress, and we are, as part of our responsibility to a nation as a church, we are creating a platform to hear the standard bearers, to hear their vision, so we can ask them questions, so that at the end of the day, we can make an informed decision as Liberians, you know. And that's why this program is here. And so this evening, we are engaging Mr. Cummings. Next Sunday, we have another candidate here. Next Sunday, the Sunday after, we have all the candidates. In fact, yesterday, we were at the Centennial Pavilion with pastors from other towns who wanted to engage the candidates. And that was a good section too. So we are playing our part and making sure that all of us together, we can deal with the issues as a nation. We can deal with the issues, not personality. We can look at what the person brings to the table, because Liberia's future is at stake, and we have a responsibility not just to only pray, but to make sure we can create a platform that we can hear from the people who want to lead us, because leadership is not child's play. All right, Mr. Cummings, we are back from our break. We'll open the phone lines now for those who are listening by radio. The orange number is 07783362249. The Lone Star number is 0888322668. I will call the number once again for those listening by radio. 07783362249 is the orange number. Lone Star number is 0888322668. Now, we will take the first 5 questions, and Mr. Cummings will answer those 5 questions, and then we'll go to the next set of 5, and we hope to do at least 3 sets of 5 if time permits us. So we'll open the phone lines now for questions to start coming in. Good evening. Quickly, 30 seconds. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, I'm a captain of course from here Junction.
Your question quickly, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Alexander B. Cummings.
Good evening.
Yeah, you started off, but I got a question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
What do you have in place when it comes to Zogos?
Okay, Zogos, thank you. The next question. All right. While we are with that call, because we're still awaiting calls, I will wait the calls. He's talking about Zogos. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Again, I'm not sure I like that descriptor of those young people. These are mostly young men who need an opportunity.
Okay.
They need training. They need development. They need to be taken in. They need to be loved. Actually, these are young men who feel hopeless, don't have any skills. They're on the streets. They take drugs. So we need to, create institutions, a school where we can give them training, some discipline, feed them, but mostly give them skills so that they can go and support themselves. Again, it ties. You asked earlier, Reverend Carpet. It ties to the whole youth empowerment strategy, and it's about skills, education, jobs for our young people.
How do you intend to deal with fight drugs?
So you have to fight drugs on multiple fronts.
Okay.
One is you got to look at the source of the drugs.
Okay.
So where is it coming from? How can you stop it? How can you interdict it? The second thing you got to look at, why do the young people or the people who take drugs, why they take drugs, and try to systematically...
Okay, I don't have a call. Hello?
Okay.
Yes, hello?
Yes, your name quickly and 30 seconds. Ask your question, please.
Yeah, there is a program listener Ismail Jalal Delani, and I joined the conversation from the Uber job.
Quickly, sir.
My question has to do with I listened to Mr. Cummings very well, and then I understand that and there are a lot of ambition and dream I have for this country. But I would like to know if we become president, what are some of these cordial relationships that he will create with international community and us as Liberians so that development can grow our country?
All right, thank you. He's concerned about international relationship and how you manage your foreign policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Do we have another caller? Okay. We don't have Mr. Cummings. You can answer that question while we're another call.
So, the way I think about international relationships and foreign policy is, I want to reorient it to more how it drives our economy.
Okay.
And I'll give you specific examples of what I mean.
Yeah.
But we have to have a more economic orientation to our foreign policy.
Okay.
Just given where Liberia is, where we need to go. So what does that mean specifically? We need to be focusing our international efforts on countries and companies that can bring value to Liberia.
So they call it economic diplomacy.
Economic diplomacy, a better, more elegant way of describing it. And so, for example, we shouldn't have embassies in countries where we're not getting some economic benefit because it's expensive.
Okay.
And by the way, when we put an embassy somewhere, we should fully resource it.
Okay.
I'd rather do fewer countries that will really benefit us and do it well than to have many embassies around the world and the ambassadors maybe don't get paid on time, or they're in old cars, or they're in dilapidated embassies. So we're going to focus on economic diplomacy. We're going to make sure our ambassadors, our people are equipped to bring foreign investors to our country, and that will be the emphasis. Ethiopia is the example I like to use.
Okay.
The Ethiopians are very focused on economic diplomacy, and they do it very well.
All right. Hello.
Hello?
Yes. 30 seconds. Your name. Where you calling from? Quickly.
My name is
Yes, sir. Quickly.
My question has to give his own ability of any country. He managed the cocoa company, and this company has a structure, and that structure is what he implements. But there is Liberia, a whole nation that has seen a structure. What is
all right.
going to do?
Yeah, thank you. I think his question is clear. You manage Coca-Cola.
Right.
Coca-Cola is not a country.
Right.
Coca-Cola is a company that have structures already set in place. Liberia, the whole country.
Right.
The question is, the Coca-Cola in our country.
Right.
Right. So I think that's what he wants to say. Hello, do we have another caller? Hello? Okay, no caller. You can.
Yeah. So first of all, I said too often times we look at things at the surface, very superficially.
Yeah.
If you look at a company and how it's organized and how it works, and you look at a country, there's similarities. They're not exactly the same.
Okay.
But a lot of similarities. You're dealing with people.
All right.
Anytime you have people anywhere, you got some politics. People are social animals, right? You're managing resources.
Okay.
In managing a country, you're managing resources, money. In companies, you're managing money. In countries, you got to make choices on where you can't do everything for everybody.
Yeah.
In companies, you got to do the same. In companies, you have what we call consumers or customers that you got to satisfy their needs.
Okay.
In countries, you got voters. You got to satisfy their needs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't. So there are more similarities than there are differences. But I also see the Liberian people.
Yeah.
Look at where we are after 170 years. By having people who have been in government with same experiences, look at the result.
Okay.
So don't you think we should try somebody with a different set of experiences, who have managed in complex organizations, who has produced results all his life? Because Reverend Carpet, you don't get from where I started here, Busher Island, Point 4, to where I got to unless you consistently do what you say, you consistently deliver results. Some of the structures that at Coca-Cola we helped put in place.
Okay.
So it wasn't just maintenance; it was creating new structure and evolving the company. So yes, we can keep doing the same things, electing the people who say got experience.
Okay.
And look what we got after 170 years. Or we can say, look, let's get somebody with different experiences who has a track record, and let's give him the opportunity to.
All right, do we have another caller there? I will call the number again for those listening by radio. The orange number is 077-833-6249. 077-833-6249. That's the orange number. And the Lone Star number is 0888-322-668. All right, you can call us and ask Mr. Alexander Cummings. You are talking about economic diplomacy. Hello. All right. Yes, you are talking about. It seemed like an overhaul of the foreign service.
No, I think it's more complementary.
Okay.
I also often say, Reverend Capper, that if something isn't broken, I'm not going to change for change's sake.
Okay.
So when you think about about traditional foreign policy,
yeah,
I think it's fine. I think it works okay today. I'm not going to try to just change it just because I want to change.
Okay.
But I want to add. I want to complement. I want to reorient the focus.
Okay.
In terms of where people spend their time.
But mean that you want to close some down, and that's what you're saying.
We may. We need to assess, and those we keep open, we need to do it well.
Okay.
And we need to focus it. Look, we got to make choices, Reverend Carpet, if we want to change Liberia.
Okay.
If we want to keep doing the same things, just tweak a year, change a year there, our country will not change. So we got to close some things down, but we'll open up some new things too.
Mm-hmm.
And if and I say this, and my political advisors would not like this, but if Liberians want more of the same, I'm not the guy.
Okay.
If you want more of the same, and you just want to tweak it a little bit, don't elect me, because we got to change a lot. If we want Liberia to be different, we got to do some things differently.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, in 30 seconds, your name, where you calling from? Mr. Cummings is listening. Hello? Yes, quickly.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, we are listening.
My name is Section Larry. I'm calling from Dubai.
All right. Go ahead. Ask your question, please. Okay. Well, yes. You talked about, in your vision here, you talked about maximizing revenue from our existing resource base, identifying new resource opportunities, and actively engage in enabling private sector growth. My question is, what are some of the new resource opportunities that you have identified that we don't know?
Right. So I will give you an example, and they may not be new.
Okay.
But we need to get more value from the resources.
Okay.
I happen to believe that our gold resources, our diamond resources, are being exploited by other individual Liberians or non-Liberians, and as a country, I don't believe we get enough value from those resources.
From
example,
the gold and diamond.
Yes. So I think we need to revisit and rethink how we can get more value for the people of Liberia as opposed to individual Liberians or individual foreigners getting those resources. So that's one. The second thing is, look, we have this massive forest.
Okay.
Right? And I think we need to responsibly look at how we can get benefit from that forest. And I emphasize responsibly because there are a lot of environmental issues and challenges, and we're party to a lot of these agreements.
Very true.
But at the same time, you can have this massive forest, and you have people looking at it, and they don't have the basic necessities of life. So somehow we gotta find a way to get results from both. And I believe you can responsibly harvest our forests, replant in a responsible way, and make sure again the Liberian people benefit from that. And I don't believe we're doing enough for that. So those are examples of things. The other example I would say, Reverend Kappa, is concession agreements going forward.
Yeah,
we're not going to change what exists, but I want to make sure we're getting full value from the existing agreements. But any new agreements, we got to revisit how complicated we make it. I keep going to this idea of simplicity. We need to create simple agreements that we can enforce, because today, because of some of our challenges, I don't believe we get full value from some of our agreements. So let's create new agreements that we can get full value from, that are simple. Let me give you an example. If we find oil in Liberia, right? Good. For example, if we find oil in Liberia, simplistically we should say to the oil company, whoever that, Chevron, Exxon, Gazprom, or whatever. Look, and we'll have to do the math to determine what that number is.
Sure.
But for every 100 barrels you produce, we would take 10. Again, I make the number up.
Yeah, but the people say, remember, the people say we are frontier nation. We don't have the technocrats. We don't have all the things.
Point.
So
that's my whole point. That's why I want to simplify it.
Okay, go ahead.
So we want them to do it and produce it, but then if they produce 100 barrels, 10 of that, we will take it. You keep your 90 to pay for investment. We'll take that 10 barrels.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sell on the open market, and we'll take the revenue and invest in Liberia. It's simple to manage. It's simple to monitor. We don't need a lot of lawyers, accountants, engineers. I'm using it as an example of how we can simplify these things so that everybody can understand how it works. We can monitor it in a simplistic way, and we can invest those monies. But I'm not suggesting we don't get investors to invest in our country.
Oh, so you're saying that, with that, you want to make sure that value comes to Liberia.
I want to make sure value comes to Liberia, and I want to be simple so that all Liberians understand how it works.
Okay.
And as a government, we can monitor and make sure we get the value.
Okay. So let's look at another thing you said here. As a key priority of the coming presidency, we will be creating jobs and growing the economy. Unemployment is at unacceptable levels, particularly among Liberia's young people. Now, I want you to identify some of the sectors that you think that can absorb Liberians if elected and you take over on January 18. So identify those sectors that you think can right now that you have. You have some ideas. Okay, we'll put this sector, we'll do that sector.
So let me start with tourism.
Okay, tourism.
I think we under-leverage tourism. Tourism is a high employer of people. It's a service-oriented industry.
Okay.
The beauty of tourism is it doesn't require a lot of high skill because we have a dearth of high-skilled people.
Yeah.
It employs a lot of people.
Okay.
It requires training, but not heavy intense training. So tourism is ecotourism is one something we should focus on, and we can create jobs very quickly. That's one. I mentioned agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
We got the land, we got the rainfall. Okay. If we invest in agriculture, right, in producing, in feeding ourselves, we will create jobs. So that's another way we can create jobs for our young people. I mentioned infrastructure. We need to have private sector people invest in roads, electricity, water, internet. Those things, by definition, will also create jobs, and it ties into our policy of focus on vocational training and skills. So we need to have electricians, plumbers, masons, carpenters. So when you invest in infrastructure, Liberians can do the work as opposed to having others do it. So all of those things will help us create jobs. All of those things, agriculture, tourism, infrastructure, are areas where we can create jobs for
the young people.
Exactly.
All right, 077-833-6249, 0888-322-668. This is Hour of Enlightenment. We are in conversation with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. He's the standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress. Every Sunday until the last Sunday to elections, we are bringing all our candidates. We are asking them questions. We are looking at a vision. We're giving you opportunity to vote. Liberians out there, those listening to us all around Liberia through ELBC. It's a time for you to listen, for you to analyze, for you to ask questions, and so that when we go up on October 10, we can know, we can be sure of where we are putting our vote. As we are with the cause, Mr. Cummings, our budget, our 80% or more go to recurring expenditure. The legislature, you talked about having ANC people going in the legislature. Worst case scenario, you don't have the kind of legislature that will be as favorable in terms of ANC numbers in the place. Majority have their way, minority have their say. What happens when you are confronted as a leader with a legislature that you don't have the numbers there, and so many things you are talking about, concession and making some serious change in the country's way of doing things? How will you handle it?
So there are multiple questions in what you asked, very Kabe. And so if I can break it down.
Yeah, go ahead, break it down.
Please. Yeah. First on the recurrent expenditure, and then I'll talk about the legislature, how we do that.
Yeah.
So there are two ways to address recurrent expenditure. Part of the recurrent expenditure is a function of the executive branch.
True.
The branch that we will control.
Yeah.
How we spend money on what? How many people travel?
Okay.
What kind of cars we buy for executive branch officials. So a lot of the money is within the control of the
You
executive
cut
branch.
everybody's salary.
I will we reduce everybody's
Reduce
salary.
salary.
Yes.
Okay.
And so those things that the executive branch can control, will control those things. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we'll work with the legislature. We'll create public pressure on them.
What do you mean public pressure? What do you mean?
I mean getting Liberians.
You want a district to go there and say, you're
no,
do so and so?
I want Liberians to reach out to their senators,
Okay.
to the legislatures, and say, you need to take less money and you need to spend more money on us. I need Liberians to punish the legislature at the polls if that doesn't happen. So
Punish the legislature at the poll.
but not voting for them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you have,
Yeah.
We look, we're fortunate today. It wasn't always the case. We live in a democracy today,
Okay.
right? Not a perfect democracy, but a democracy. So Liberians got to vote. That they can decide to vote for Reverend Carpet or Alex Cummings or
Okay.
somebody else. And so they can put public pressure on those legislature
Yeah.
to also reduce their expenditure. But reducing expenditure is one way to do it. We got to grow the national revenue pie.
Okay.
You know, the way, even if you kept it constant, we need to reduce it, by the way, but if you kept it constant and the revenue went from 600 to 7 to 8, the percentage of recurring will go down. That's
Okay.
the math.
Okay.
Right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
So we also, this is where the economic growth becomes important. We got to grow the economy. You grow the economy, people will pay more taxes.
Okay.
If you create more jobs, people will pay more taxes. So if we grow the economy, if we stimulate the economy, we get rid of a million of the rules and regulations. We revisit the tax regime. We empower Liberian businesses. We grow the economy. We'll reduce recurring expenditure. So those things are all related, and that's what we have to do. But we got to put some pressure on our legislative colleagues.
Okay.
If you think about it, right? Our legislators make more than that of the United States. The United States is one of the richest countries in the world. We're
Okay.
one of the poorest. That cannot make sense. I mean, does it? It doesn't. So we gotta. But my initial reaction is not to be confrontational.
Okay.
Is to sit with them, with them, their leaders, and let's have a conversation about it.
Okay.
Let's try to convince them why it makes sense and what we'll do with the resources. And they should take some credit for agreeing to that act. So I'm not going to come and try to pick a fight on day one. That's the wrong way to lead the country.
And the prison system. Let's talk about the prison system and the judiciary and the issue with the cases in the code and backlogs and the conditions of prison. I don't see anything here. I mean, but you can talk about
Sure.
that. How to do our prison system. The way, somebody go to prison. I believe that we should be giving people a second chance. Right. Mean I go to prison one way and come another way, rehabilitation in prison. I want to know what's your mind around judiciary and the prison system in our country.
Right. So again, related questions.
Yeah.
Good questions, but two separate.
Very
ones.
true. Very true.
So the judiciary, we need to think about how we reform the judiciary.
Okay.
And the way I think about it, just like when I was answering your question on health, is
Yeah.
to start where most Liberians experience the judiciary. So in health, I mentioned primary health care is where most Liberians experience the health system. Judiciary, where most Liberians experience it, is with the magistrates and the justice of the peace.
Okay.
So to make sure we've trained them, we adequately compensate them, because that's where more Liberians are touched by the system.
Okay.
And of course, we got to look at the big picture, at the justices of the Supreme Court and the other justices. But I want to start where most Liberians experience it, try to reform, train, develop, give them resources, because that's where Liberians experience it day to day. But judicial reform is something we gotta do and fix. If we talk about bringing foreign investors, that's a cardinal plank. If the judicial system they can't depend on, it will be hard to attract foreign investors. So we got to fix the judiciary, and we will do that. On the prison system, again, we need to improve our prison systems. But to be honest and fair, and again, the political guys won't like me saying this, we will improve it because it's not fair. But it's not going to be very high on the list of priorities, given everything else we have to do. So at the margins, we're going to improve it. But am I going to say to you and lie to that member that it's going to dramatically change overnight? It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Because I need to, people who are law-abiding citizens and such, I need to look after them first. But we need to improve the prison system. The way we treat prisoners today is inhumane.
Okay.
And that's unacceptable. And so I want Liberians to know I don't condone it, and we'll improve it. But I also want to say it's not going to dramatically improve overnight because we got so many priorities and choices to make.
Okay, you are talking about the healthcare system, but not in healthcare. You didn't mention mental health. Mental health is a critical concern in our country. We got only the ES grant there in Painesville, and we got one the highway, which is private owned. Not much is being said or not much is being talked about mental health. Sometimes we call it crazy people, but the mental health issue. What are your plans? How do you intend to address the issue of mental health and that sector?
Again. In the platform we sent was a summary level.
Okay.
So we didn't go into all the excruciating details.
Okay.
But when we talk about fixing the health sector, we're going to look at mental health. But again, even within the health sector, I often say we got to decide what's number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll address the mental health issues, and we'll make sure we provide the resources to look after those people, to have a proper hospital with psychologists and psychiatrists that can help our mentally ill people. But again, with only so much money, we got to make some choices. And while we'll address it, I don't want to promise a dramatic change in that overnight.
So on your scale of preference, mental health is not a serious emergency right now, from what you said.
It's important.
Okay.
But it would not be the first place I would go.
Okay. So if you want to give priority on education, on the healthcare, how will you number them in terms of preference?
Primary healthcare.
Primary healthcare, okay.
It will be number 1.
Okay.
Preventive healthcare.
Okay.
Will be number 2. Preventive healthcare gets into nutrition, feeding programs in schools. Because if a person or a child is fed and is healthy, they're less susceptible to illnesses and diseases.
Okay.
So again, this is helpful for librarians to know how I think.
Yeah.
I want to do the things, Reverend Copper, we can't do everything all at once.
All at once, true.
Librarians are 170 years old. Look at where we are. So I want to do things that will impact the most librarians first.
Okay.
Then we'll get to the second and third priorities. We got to make some of these choices. Otherwise, we'll do nothing well. We'll do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and nobody will actually feel the benefit. Nobody will feel the impact. So we gotta make choices here, and this is as a, not a typical politician.
Yeah.
I'm saying these things, and I could be promising everybody everything.
Okay.
That would do it on day 1. You let me do that. I will be lying to librarian people, and I don't want to be that kind of politician that would lie to librarian people. We will fix all of these things, but we gotta do it systematically. We gotta make some choices, and at the end of 6 years, we will have touched on all of these things you raise. But it would take time for us to get to those things, and I want to be honest with librarian people. It would take time for us to do that, but we'll get to it.
One concern that we hear and a lot of people talked about in this country over the years is the fact that many times people are concerned about the people who surround the leaders. Many times when we go to political processes, political candidates and people do not tell us, for instance, who advises on your health, who advises on the environment, who advises on security. People come and say, well, I got this person, I got this other person. Many times we don't know who are those surrounding the leader. Who are those surrounding you? As we move tomorrow, Mr Cummings are president. Okay, granted. Who are those surrounding you? Because you stay in the mansion. Right. You got people who have to do the work out there. You got cabinet people, you got ambassadors, you got people working at different levels. So who are your advisors? What are the people you have surrounding yourself with?
So I need I have many librarian advisors who are helping me in all of these sectors.
Okay.
To be honest, I need to get their permission, or they need to say who they are.
Very good.
To disclose who they are. It's a fair question, though.
I know it's a fair question.
It's a very fair question.
Yeah, true.
And my commitment to you is that I will get all the key ones to agree, and we will make it.
We shall think so today or tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We can say, okay, Mr. Cummings said, brother X and Y, if I don't, we can know their background. We can know what competence they bring to your leadership.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. 077-833-6249, 08883226668. You can call us. We are in conversation with Mr. Mr Cummings, and he's the standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress, the ANC, and we are talking about his vision. We are talking about his plans for Liberia, and we are expecting your call. All right, as we kind of wrapped up the program, simple English. I want you to talk to the Liberian people out there in the most simple form, because not everybody know the big book we talk here, and we want to make sure that all our Liberian people out there, the person listening to us in Barclayville right now, the people they listen out there, or maybe in Tottenham, or all that the radio cover right now. I want you to talk to Liberian people in your simple Liberian English. Let them hear your vision. Let them hear what you want to do for this country.
Right. Thank you. So, my fellow Liberians, let me use some stories to help explain what we're trying to do that will help you understand. One of the things I've heard about myself is that I'm new to the political scene. So, if you have a car that takes you every day from, say, Kakata to Monrovia, and that car is old and it keeps breaking down, but you're familiar with that car, you know that car, you had it a long time, and somebody come and give you a new car. They say, Reverend Carpet, we got this new car, you can have it, and you can get to work every day on time. Which car would you take? Would you say, no, I know this old car, so I want to stick with the old car? Or am I going to take the new car that I know, is new, will take me from point A to point B reliably? And so I say to Liberian people, I'm that new car, if you had that choice, that looking at my past background and stuff will take you from point A to point B. So that's one simple analogy I like to tell my fellow Liberians. The other thing I like to say to my fellow Liberians, simple English. We need to provide you with electricity, with light.
Okay.
So today, most Liberians either have generators or they don't have lights. And if you want to run your business, you want to study, any basic thing you want to do, you need light. And if you have light, you can do so many things. The cost of running your house, your home, a generator, we can get rid of this, we can fix those things. We want to also make sure most Liberians have water they can drink. If you go around the country, a lot of people get sick from diarrhea, cholera. We want to give you water you can drink. Roads, I think every Liberian can understand that. The roads, even in Greater Monrovia, in Montserrat, across the country, my family, we come from the southeast. That part of the country is not connected to the rest of Liberia for about half of the year during the rain season. It's so difficult. So we want to provide roads for our people in very simple English. We talk about this thing called education. We want people to learn. We want people to have jobs, for you to have work to go to every day to feed yourself. I often say to our people too it's not good enough for my stomach to be full and for everybody else around me to be hungry. And my stomach is full, but that's not the life I want to live. As a Christian, Reverend Carpet, I don't want my stomach to be full and then all the people around me are hungry. And we want to do things that will make sure all Liberian people's stomachs are full. I also use other simple example that many Liberians understand. And I say, as a leader, I will eat last. Meaning the people should eat first. Leaders should eat last. What does that mean? Today when you go to events, all the people at the head table get their food first. Or they go to the buffet, they get it first. When you do that, you don't care if there's enough food for everybody because your stomach full, they serve you or you got your food first. At the ANC, we practice this today. Our people, our partisans, we make sure they eat first. Then we eat last because that way we make sure there's enough food for everybody to eat. And basically, that's what we want to bring to life. We want to put Liberian people first. We want to take care of them first. We say to our people that Monrovia is not Liberia. Liberia is Liberia. So when we pay our people, we want to pay the people in the country first before the people in Monrovia get paid. We want to pay everybody at the same time, by the way. That's the goal. But if we don't have enough money, the big people should delay and make sure the small people get paid first before the people get paid. Those are some very basic things we're trying to say to our people. We will do these things. We can do these things. We want to put them first. We want to put Liberians first. And putting Liberia first doesn't mean we're excluding everybody else. That's another thing we got to change. If I always describe the economy in another simple way, because it's a big word, as this bowl of rice. And we all eat from this bowl of rice, this thing called economy. It all touches us in some way, shape, or form, but we touch it. My goal is to grow that bowl of rice, make that bowl of rice bigger, and that every Liberian have the chance to put their hand, either their hand or their spoon, so they can have access. So I don't want just a few people, just a few Liberian people, either the ones in Monrovia or from some part of the country, to be the ones that can put their spoon or their hand in that bowl of rice. I want to grow that bowl of rice, the thing called the economy, and all of us, every Liberian can have access and the ability to put their hands and get their share of that bowl of rice. And that's simply what we're trying to do. We gotta grow this bowl of rice. And when everybody has a chance to take their share of that bowl of rice, it will help with reconciliation. It will help with everything. People will be less selfish. It will help with the thing called corruption, people stealing, because they will believe the rest bowl is growing now. I can see it growing, and I know I have a chance to put my spoon in there, to put my hand in there and get my share of the bowl of rice. And it doesn't mean if I get, that means Reverend Carpet doesn't get, or Reverend Carpet get, I mean I don't get. And many of us think that way. It's what you call zero-sum game. But if we grow that bowl of rice, everybody has access. That's ultimately how we move our country forward.
All right, this is Hour of Enlightenment. I'm your host, HoE Mr. Carpet. Tonight we are in conversation with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. And he's talking about his vision for Liberia. He wants to be our president. And the campaign is on, and so we are creating a platform to hear them out, to hear the candidates, to hear what they have in mind. And Mr. Cummings, somebody sent a thing here and said that Liberia and Christian nation. What is your thought around that?
So my point of view is I'm running to be president of all Liberians.
Okay.
I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Have been all my life, but I'm running to be president of all Liberians.
Okay.
I also believe that if you look at the numbers.
Okay.
Right. Yesterday we were together. We heard Bishop Fox said his number was 55% of Liberians are Christian.
Yeah.
The official number is much higher.
Okay.
So I would say by definition today we are a Christian nation.
Okay.
Whether you take 55,
okay,
majority, or you take the official number is around 70-80%, we are a Christian nation. And the way we remain a Christian nation, okay, is through how we live our lives.
Okay.
Through our values, through evangelizing, through planting churches.
Okay.
We do all those things. Liberian would mean the number will stay 55 and higher. We will be a Christian nation. Our values will do that. I also say though, look, there's a constitutional process that I will be swearing to uphold the constitutional process, and however that unfolds, we'll follow that. But I do want to be president of all Liberians. I'm not going to be president of Christian Liberians, Muslim Liberians, atheist Liberians. I want to be president of all Liberians. I think it's important that we all coexist. We have peacefully for many, many years. Okay. I'm passionate about making sure that happens, that we coexist, that there's mutual respect, amongst Christian and other religions in the country, because again, shame on us if we let ourselves revert to any divisiveness. Okay.
And another question somebody asked here is same-sex marriage. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I'm opposed to it, very simply. I'm married to Teresa, 35 years. I'm a Christian.
So you be God, me, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Exactly.
Not even Evelyn.
Not even Evelyn.
Okay.
So I'm very clear on that. Simple answer. That's not something I support, and our constitution does not support it.
Okay.
We're taking the oath of office to uphold our constitution, our traditions.
Yeah.
Culture don't support it. So very, very simply, I'm very clear on that.
Somebody say you didn't mention much about security. What are your thoughts on security?
My thoughts are as follows. I think about security in sort of three levels. The base level security is all about the economy and about jobs.
Okay.
Reverend Carpet, the biggest national security risk, I believe, to Liberia is the number of unemployed people we have.
Okay.
What do I mean? If you're unemployed and you don't have any prospect of getting employed, you're not sure where your next meal may come from, etc., you don't own anything, you got nothing to protect.
Yeah.
That's a big security risk. You're susceptible to anything, to foreign influences, to people inciting you.
Okay.
So if we fix job security, if we fix the economy, we'll begin to address security. The next layer, though, is what I call the traditional security apparatus, our military and our police officers. We need to pay them more. We need to train them more.
And you intend
We
to
need
bring any
with equipment.
significant reform to those sectors, the army, the police, paramilitary? You intend to bring any major reform?
Nothing dramatic from what there is today, but just to resource it
Okay, resources.
more appropriately.
Okay.
Salaries, equipment, training, etc., etc.
So you keep them as they are, but resources.
Resource them appropriately. That's
Okay.
the key there.
Appropriate. Okay.
Then the next layer is kind of the intelligence.
Okay.
That's important to know what's happening in the country and outside the country.
Okay.
So make sure our intelligence organizations are also resourced.
Okay.
And then our relationships with our neighbors.
Yeah.
Make sure that's cordial.
That's cordial.
But the biggest threat is not our neighbors. The biggest threat is, I believe, internal jobs and security. And people got something to protect. They got jobs. They will protect the country. They will. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's how.
Where our main treasure is, that way heart will be.
That's why his heart would be.
All right. The final question is issue of nepotism. In this country, people in government, power man, sister, uncle, nephews, everybody inside.
Yeah. For me.
What will you do?
For me, it's very simple. Know what I call immediate family.
Yeah, immediate family.
Children, siblings, meaning brothers,
Yeah.
sister. My mother is almost 90 years old. She's not
Yeah.
interested. But no immediate family will be in.
Suppose they
government.
qualify.
Look, that's a sacrifice.
Okay.
They all qualify. One
Okay.
of my sisters has a PhD
Okay.
in education, very bright. She's the smartest one in the family of the four of us.
Okay.
My younger sister just passed away, so we're three now.
My sympathy.
Thank you. My son, my daughter, all very qualified. But that's a sacrifice. And Reverend Kape, government is not the only way to serve,
Okay.
right? Business, philanthropy.
So
the other
you
means-
empower them outside government.
Absolutely. But given our history of nepotism, I want to be very clear, excuse me, to Liberian people,
Yeah.
that immediate family will not be in government. We've talked about it with them,
Okay.
and they weren't too thrilled, but they understand that given our history as a country, it's better that we don't do that. And maybe the next president will have the freedom because we would have set the example now.
Okay.
But they can work in other areas
All
of
right.
the country.
The final question: what happens if Mr. Alexander B. Cummings Jr. don't win the elections? What will you do afterwards?
So I would say I think it's highly unlikely, and you would expect me to say that, right?
Yeah, I expect to
It's
say that.
highly unlikely
Yeah,
that I would not win.
everybody go with faith.
Exactly.
Everybody go with
Otherwise,
faith,
we
true.
shouldn't do it.
I know, true. I agree with you. But what happens if it
But
don't happen?
in the unlikely case it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
I will support whoever the Liberian people choose.
Okay. Will you remain engaged with the country? Will you remain engaged with what you're doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We will stay engaged with the foundation. We have
Okay.
a foundation. We will go into business. I've deliberately stayed out of going into business in Liberia because it creates conflicts as
Okay.
well. If you want to lead a country and
Yeah.
do business.
Okay.
But I will go into business in Liberia. I would say to Liberian people, it's highly, highly unlikely I will run again.
Okay.
For me,
Why?
because it's a personal
Okay.
decision.
So if you don't win, you will run again.
highly unlikely. I never say never.
Okay.
Never is too strong a
Too
word.
strong, okay.
But
because the people
say,
can't buy a petition you. You know how to do it. Eh?
yeah, but I say highly unlikely,
Highly
that
unlikely,
I will
okay.
run again.
Okay.
Why? Running for president against an incumbent, because I'll be running against an incumbent the next time.
Okay.
Somebody will be in a job, right?
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Okay.
Running for elections is physically tasking.
Yeah.
It's mentally tasking. It's financially tasking. So it's not easy.
It's not easy.
So I'm doing it with a view of winning.
Okay.
In the unlikely case, the Liberians go in a different direction.
Okay.
I'm in simple English, Reverend. I'm not the kind of person who you bring your ball to the game, your football. They didn't choose you, and you take your ball and go away.
Okay.
So I will remain engaged in business and in philanthropy in the country. I will not immediately go into opposition because I think that's the wrong thing to do. We want whoever leads to be successful.
Okay.
But it's highly, highly unlikely I will do this again.
All right. Well, we have come almost to the end of our program. We want to get your final words before we pray. What are your final words tonight as we close this program before prayer?
So my final words are to thank you for the opportunity, for the questions.
Okay.
The questions were good, and the atmosphere you create is not only important, it's for good debate. So thank you for that.
Amen.
And I also want to say to Liberian people, to the listening audience, that you're listening to a person who is deeply committed to our people, to our country, and deeply committed to changing our country for the better. And a person who will be honest with you about what's possible, what can be done, what we can do, and a person that brings lots of experiences that I think will benefit our people. So those are my final thoughts.
All right, thank you. Let's look to the Lord in prayer as we close this program today. And I want all of you watching by television tonight, listening by radio, I want you to join me in prayer, because when all is said and done, it's only God who will determine who leads our country. We will hear our brothers and our sisters who are running for office at the level of the presidency, even at the level of the legislature. We got 900 and some more person running at the legislature. We got 20% running at the level of the president. So we want to ask God tonight as we go through this process. So I want you to join me in prayer as we believe God for the process tonight. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you. We thank you for our process. We thank you for our nation. As we go to elections, Lord, only you know the hearts of these candidates. Only you have in your mind the one that you will want to lead our nation. And so, Father, tonight, we commit all the candidates into your hands. We commit Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, oh God. We commit him to you. We commit the rest of the 19 presidential aspirants, oh God. We commit them to you. Lord, we pray you examine their hearts. You scrutinize their heart, oh God. And Lord, as we go on October 10th to cast our ballots, we pray, Lord, that you will lead, you will guide, and you will give us wisdom as voters and as a nation to make a choice, oh God, that will reflect our country's interests. We thank you tonight. Thank you for our nation. We thank you, God, for a peaceful process. We thank you, Father, that no violence. We thank you, God, that the enemy will not obstruct our process. There will be no hindrance to our national process. This process of election, Lord, we pray tonight in the name of Jesus that it will go on smoothly, transition will go on smoothly, Liberia will move on and will refuse any attempt by the enemy to create any problem for our country. We thank you, God, because we know your thought towards us is not of evil. It's not of evil, it's of good, to give us an expected end. Thank you for our nation. Thank you for elections. Thank you for a peaceful process. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the blessed Holy Spirit. God bless you. And I'll see you next Sunday with another candidate in the studio as we talked about the vision, as we discussed the issue regarding our country's future. And at the end of the day, we believe God to guide, lead, and direct us. God bless you. And I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.